Hi, it's me, Daphne. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going through my best books of 2023. So I don't give out that many 5 stars. So these are all my 5 stars throughout the year, and I have 9 books I want to talk to you about across a few genres. So let's get started. This list is kind of in a particular order, but I also wanted to give each book like the title of best in their own category. So this first book is the best fantasy I read in 2023, and it is Jade City. I annotated it and I read this with my friends for being a book club, and I absolutely love this book. I read the entire trilogy, and out of the 3 books, I would still say the first book was my favorite. This is an urban fantasy, like gang war, family saga, drama, power grabs, revenge, and like loyalty and like honor, and oh, it is so good. It takes place in this made-up island, and then the scope of the world just gets bigger and bigger as the series continues. This is just so well crafted as like a piece of art, and I had so much fun reading it. I was at the edge of my seat. There's great action, there's great fighting sequences. I believe the author is like trained in martial arts, so she has a lot of experience with like the technique and the fighting, and she was able to describe those scenes really well. And yeah, you just start to feel for this family, and they're not perfect characters. There's a lot of just like amazing stuff going on in here. So this was my favorite fantasy of 2023, and if you haven't read the series yet and you've been thinking about it, definitely just go for it. Don't be scared about like the thickness of the books. They are amazing and worth every page. The next book is the best romance I read in 2023, which was Quarterback Sneak. This is like the 3rd book in a sports romance series, and I absolutely love this one. So this book takes place in college, and we have our quarterback Holden. He is like trying to go to the NFL or whatever. It's his last season, I believe, and the team is getting a new coach. This coach has brought his daughter with him. She is also college age, and she's gonna be working as like a trainer, like studying to be a trainer. She's like helping out the trainers in the locker room and stuff for the team. And the coach is like, she is completely off limits, leave her alone. Nobody think about trying to hook up with my daughter, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, Holden is very attracted to Julep, and it's their romance. I absolutely love this book. I thought Holden was such a kind, sweet, beautiful man, very thoughtful and patient with Julep. She has a lot of stuff going on in her background with pain and hurt and trauma and being closed off, and for good reason and all this stuff. So just seeing their relationship build and like her building trust with him, I thought was really well done, and I had a fun time with their love story. So this was my favorite romance of the year. Moving on to the best general fiction book I read in 2023, we have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which I've talked a lot about. I love this book. I know a lot of people talk about this and like have a hard time describing it, and they're like, it's a gaming book, blah, blah, blah. But I think this book is mainly about friendship and love between friends, and becoming an adult, and being Asian in America, and having dysphoria. Is it dysphoria? And having a disability, and just trying to find yourself as a person growing up, and finding success, and how do you maintain relationships. I just thought this book had so many layers to it. I didn't annotate it because I read it so early in the year. I don't think I had annotated a book ever in my life at that point yet. So I might do a reread at some point and annotate it, because I just felt like there was so much you could take away from this book. I feel like you could read it over and over and over again and just see different nuances in the story and like what the author is trying to express, and just like these different topics and like emotional points that just hit in this book. And I absolutely loved it. Definitely read this book. Don't worry about like the synopsis or plot. Just like go for it, because I think there's a lot it has to offer. And it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful masterpiece, piece of art. Then we have the best historical I read, which I'm gonna give to The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This might have been the first book I annotated, and I had so much fun with that experience. This book is about Evelyn. She is a celebrity, and it's like her telling this reporter who she wants to write her book like how she became who she is today as an older woman, telling her about her past and all the secrets that the media doesn't know about her. And I thought it was really cool. I thought Evelyn as a character was so interesting. She's not like the perfect person. She has a lot of flaws, but she knows she's flawed. She knows she's kind of effed up. Just like her thoughts and her opinions on stuff are so interesting that like it could hurt people, but she's like, it helps me. Is it really morally wrong? Like, what is morality? Just very thought-provoking points of view from this character. And she felt so real, and I know I've seen other people say this as well. She's a celebrity character that you just want to like Google to like look her up during these parts of her life. Like, oh, all the drama that happened with like that one husband when she was in Vegas and blah, 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 blah. And you want to look up pictures, but she's not real. So I'd love for this to be like turned into a movie. I think this would make a movie so easily. I think it would be so fun to watch and very approachable for many, many people. And yeah, very successful. This was my first Taylor Jenkins read and she knocked it out of the park. The next category is the book that made me just overall the happiest, and I'm going to be giving that to The House on the Cerulean Sea, another book I annotated. It seems to be, and it makes sense, that the books that I am like drawn to annotate are books that I end up loving. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to annotate a book that I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. You know, I'm going to annotate the books that I'm like, wow, that line is so good. Or like, I'm having so much fun with this, I gotta highlight everything. I recommended reading this for my family book club, and they had a really good time with it as well. This is about a caseworker who checks in on orphaned magical children. I don't want to tell you too much because it's part of the fun to get the reveals about the children, about the caretaker, and about the people on this island. It was just a really silly fun time. I know there's discussions on like the inspiration behind this book. I personally didn't feel like there was any malice in this book at all. There are things that are a little knocked over your head with like, this is bad, like this is why people shouldn't do this. And obviously like the author's on the right side of that opinion because he wrote this book. I just thought it was really fun and super cute. If you want to smile, if you need a pick-me-up, this is definitely a good option for that. I loved it, clearly. Next, we have Best Women's Fiction of 2023, and that is going to go to Lessons in Chemistry. This book is very feminist. It's about a female scientist and her just trying to get respect in her community and how she ends up becoming a TV personality for a cooking show and how she kind of uplifts other women, speaks very feminist words to them to like inspire them and like all this stuff through her show. It's interesting because she's a scientist and you're wondering how did she end up becoming a cooking show person? Like that seems like a demotion. Like how did she end up there? And it's just like her life story. There's a bit of romance in it. There's a dog in it that I absolutely adored. I really enjoyed the takes on feminism in this book. I annotated it the slightest bit, not too much. I will say for a book that takes place in the 1960s, it really glazed over and brushed over like the racial elements going on in this time. This character really didn't interact with any POC characters. She briefly mentioned that, you know, she's on the right side of history, that she doesn't think like, you know, segregation and racism and all that stuff is good, but like it was just really not touched other than that in the book, which is a bit disappointing. But for the feminist aspects and like the issues that women were going through in that time period, I thought it did a very good job. So not a perfect book, but enjoyable in its discussions on feminism. Then I'm going to talk about the best nonfiction book I read in 2023. I don't read that much nonfiction, to be fair, but this one definitely deserves 5 stars, and I found it very fascinating, eye-opening, and that book is Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died. I'm so happy to have this book. I listened to the audio as well, which Jeanette narrates herself, and I think that experience was perfect. Just learning about what it was like to be a child actor and like the pressure her mother put on her and how much love she had for her mother, but also how much her mother was ruining her life and making her life hell, and her issues with eating disorders that were pressed upon her because of her mother, and just heartbreaking stuff, and it makes sense that she really didn't want to be a part of the iCarly reboot because, like, literally trauma. Oh, yeah, really sad. And I appreciate the fact that she wanted to share her story with the world. So 5 stars for sure. Definitely an interesting read, especially if you grew up in that iCarly era as a kid, preteen. And then I have 2 smutty books. The first one, the award is lives rent free in my mind, best bully smutty romance, and it's Breaking the Bully. This one for some reason just like really hit for like what I was expecting from a smutty romance. Just delivered everything I wanted at that time. And it's just fun. I don't really have that much else to say about it. This book is about 2 high school seniors. The one guy has been in love with this girl for like as long as he can remember, and they had a moment when they were sophomores, but she rejected him for reasons that you'll find out in the book, and he takes it really bad and decides to make her life miserable and is bullying her. And then things evolve and it's their romance. And it's super short, it's a novella, and it's just fun. Okay, is it perfect? No. Did it deliver everything I wanted? Yes, so 5 stars. And then again, along those lines, for a short, smutty, fun time novella that I really enjoyed, which I'm gonna categorize as best, friends to lovers with pining for a smutty romance novella. We have Hefty by the same author, and this one is again high school seniors. We have a football player, this big bulky football player who has been in love with, I think, his like friend's sister forever, and he's been pining for her without knowing that she's also been pining for him as well, and then they kind of like break through that barrier and it's their romance. So it's like smutty, but it also has sweet romances in it, okay? They delivered. These are my favorite Jessica Kane books for sure. Some of the other ones don't deliver, so it's not perfect with her because of some of her kinks, but these ones I highly enjoyed and had so much fun with. So that's it. So those are all the books I gave 5 stars in 2023. Quite the range. Obviously, like you all know, I read mostly romances, so I gave a lot of like 4.5, 4 stars in the romance genres as well, but just didn't talk about them here because we'd be here for a long time. But I did film a tier ranking video that will be coming to you very soon. Keep your eyes peeled so you can see my opinions on all the books I read over the entire year and how they stand up against each other. I'm very excited to share that with you. That's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it, and obviously it helps out my channel. And I will catch you in another video. Bye!